Hey, it's Eric Kim. I'm a food columnist for the New York Times. It's the second annual, every time there's like a second annual, it feels like it should be a longer title. The second annual joining of the forces of the 4 big sisters and the 1 little brother. 5 representatives, Lunar New Year culture, culminating in Dumplings Week. The short version of that is, it's Dumpling Week. Happy Dumpling Week. We're in the NYT Cooking studio kitchen. Might not look like it because we have this fancy couch. We're making Wang Mandu. Wang Mandu are giant dumplings. It translates to king dumplings. They're basically buns. They are buns. I think the point of these is the soft, fluffy parcel filled with really savory filling. Traditionally, it is gonna be pork with chives and other Korean ingredients like that. The ones we're making today, however, are very Korean American. They're very me in my family. They're filled with ground beef. The beef has amazing savoriness thanks to soy sauce. There's a little bit of Worcestershire sauce. In the early 2000s, I was a freshman in high school when one of the first H Marts in Atlanta, Georgia opened. That's the beginning of my mother going grocery shopping and coming home each time with a packet of 4 Wang Mandus. I wanted to capture that feeling of coming home and having dumplings on the counter. It's very exciting. It's that feeling of like fresh bread, homemade bread, there's just nothing like it. So it's really important to start with a big bowl because we're gonna knead in the bowl. And the only reason I do that is because my mom does that. It's a yeasted dough. And I only use a little bit of yeast, 1 teaspoon. If you've never made dumplings before, but you've made bread, yeasted bread, then you're really just transferring the same skills. And if you've never made bread before, that's okay too. The yeast that I use calls for 100 degree to 110 degree water. I overshot a little bit by 4 degrees, so I'm just gonna wait for it to come down. You don't wanna kill the yeast. I'm going to add sugar, a teaspoon of yeast, dry active. You can already see it's really like foaming and behaving really nicely. So we're already off to a good start. That 110 degrees is kind of worth it, just like jump starts the process. And a little bit of oil. I'm just gonna stir it all together and then let it sort of sit for 5 minutes. The point of this is really just to make sure everything's alive. It's been 5 minutes. Now we're gonna mix all of it together. I'm just gonna add this to the center and then add the salt as well. There's a little sugar on the bottom of this actually. I want the sugar because it's a sweetened dough. It's not sweet, but it's like a lovely texture. So chopsticks, work it in. I like the chopsticks. I learned this from Genevieve Ko. They help you create like this nice shaggy dough. I mean, look, they look like really cool, right? I mean, dump these into hot boiling soup and you've got an amazing, like really interesting chicken and dumpling situation. So now, this is a step where clean hands, you're going to form it into a ball and knead it. Oh, it feels so good. I love this, it's so plush. Look at that, it's so like bouncy. This is what my mom does. She just sort of kneads it in the bowl like this. And it's kind of like if you're making bread, you would be doing this on the counter, right? But there's no need to when you have a bowl. If you can, try to resist adding more flour. The more you knead this, the less sticky it gets. See, it's already like, the stickiness is like coming off the bowl a little bit, which is nice. Once it's smooth and like, you know, like a baby's bum. People say that, but not everyone's seen a baby's bum. Like, I haven't had a baby yet, and I'm not looking at, sorry, okay, I'll just stop there. What's a better image? I love taking food cliches. I like to come up with different kind of descriptions for them. So what is as smooth as a baby's bottom?
Like a polished stone on like a beach.
Damn, that was really poetic. See, it's already getting kind of like nice. It's like not sticking as much. I'm glad I'm showing hand kneading because this is like the only way you really learn what's actually happening to the dough. But this is very like rustic and homemade and, well, we have a swap, so I could stop here, but we don't want to waste food. So we're gonna make sure that this becomes something fun later. It's lovely. And it's gonna get even smoother as it sits. It looks like an individual sized beef Wellington recipe on NYT Cooking. So we'll put this in a warm place and we're gonna let it double in size. That should take anywhere from 1.5 to 2 hours. If you're watching in the wintertime, it's gonna take maybe a little longer depending on how warm your kitchen is. And that's what dough does. So see you later. Right now we're gonna make the filling. This filling that I'm making right now is absolutely not traditional. It's very Korean American, it's very me. This is something that I actually learned from Mangchi. She taught me that you can cook the filling first and then fill the dumpling. And I think I like this because if the filling is already cooked, then you don't have to worry about it being raw after the steaming step. I'm gonna make sure just get this skillet hot because it's a lot of veg. Using a stainless steel skillet for this is actually great because then you get some sticking and then you'll get like browning and fond, which is like the foundation on the bottom of the pan that really adds a lot of flavor. But okay, we're just cooking down the mushrooms now. Oh my God, you guys smell that? It's like umami incarnate. Like, what the hell? Shiitakes are crazy. Do you smell that? Half of a medium red onion, save the other half. Half of a jalapeno, save the other half. I like to seed them, only because I think the seed sometimes has bitterness that I don't really love. And you're just seasoning this with salt and pepper and getting it to really just like cook down. Doesn't this smell like meat? It smells like you're at a Korean barbecue restaurant, but it's just vegetables. I think that's kind of the point of Korean dumplings. Like, it's always filled out with other things. And I'm sure that was a remnant of, you know, poverty. And I didn't really appreciate Korean dumplings until I got older. This is good. I see some browning here. The red onion has become what Nigel Lawson would call puce. It's like a paler royal purple. Okay, the heat is on medium, no fat, no oil. Just try to like get it in a single layer and really let it go for like a whole minute. I'm not gonna touch it. The reason for this is I want the meat to sort of like start sticking, start browning, because when I pick it up, it's gonna have all that caramelization, the Maillard reaction. And I don't feel like explaining what that is here because it's scientific, but it has to do with browning. So I'm gonna now pick it all up and just show you. Ideally, it'd be a little bit more brown, but I'm gonna keep cooking this. Oh, I'm also gonna season it, because I didn't do that, right? And I really like these pretty black peppery, actually. If you wanna add a little water at the end to just like deglaze the pan, please feel free. It's a very good idea. You could even do like a sake or like a Shaoxing wine or like a sherry or something. That'd be so good. I'm actually just gonna turn it off now, and I'm gonna add a few more things. This is a Korean red pepper powder called gochugaru. You already smell it. It's like another savory umami ingredient. I use my gochugaru in my recipes for flavor. That sounds obvious, but like it's not just for heat. The reason I'm not like cooking this, I don't need to like cook out these seasonings because it's gonna steam in the bun. A little Worcestershire sauce. Worcestershire. When in doubt, just like say it as fast as you can and hope no one notices. Worcestershire. Nigella says Worcestershire sauce, I think. She's just like, okay, whatever. So a little bit of this, it just like brings out the beefiness of it. And soy sauce. And so it becomes this tangle of luscious, savory flavors that you can't resist. I'm just gonna transfer this hot mixture into the bowl to get it to cool down a little bit. And then we're gonna clean up and then check on our dough. Okay, we have two different doughs here. This has been sitting for about 30 minutes. And look how big it's already gotten. So cute. Look how plush and like baby it looks. After about 30 more minutes, it's gonna rise even more. I'm gonna put this away to proof it a little more because I'm gonna work with the one that's been sitting for 2 hours. You wanna see the difference? This one is still pretty taut, but this one has so much air in it and it's really satisfying. It's like it's almost like focaccia or something. It's very, very bubbly. I'm gonna use this to sort of like pull the dough away from the sides of the bowl. What you're doing here is deflating it. So our dough is ready. Flour my station a teeny bit. I have a sheet pan lined with parchment and I sprinkled a little flour over the surface just so the buns won't stick. I'm gonna plunk my dough onto the surface. I'm gonna roll it out a little bit because I want to visualize 9 pieces. And it's such a fun dough, just like play with it a little bit. We're gonna divide this into 9 pieces and each piece needs to be about 70 grams. We're gonna fix them later. And I always need a scale. Like this one's way smaller than this. So that's 78. So I'm gonna take a little off. 71, that's fine. This is too small. 67, so I'm just gonna take from, here, 71. You just want them as even as possible. Now, here's the fun part. This is the part that takes years of experience, and this is the way I do it. And you might have your own way. Your family might have its own way. Feel free to go that route if you want. You're rolling it out to as like thin as you can. You don't want the walls of the dumpling in any place to be like too thick, because then it won't steam evenly. But it's also just like, it's more of a pride thing. Like I want these to be like really beautiful. This has been cooling. I'm gonna add an egg yolk to this because I find that the egg yolk really binds the ground beef, adds a little richness, a little sauciness. And you'll see that your beef will get very glossy and shiny. Let's see how this goes. I think a lot of people like to just like keep their wrapper here and like work in a hand. You fill it with about like 2 tablespoons of the filling, and the less filling you have, the easier it is to wrap, but the less delicious the final bun will be. So like the more confident you get, the more filling you can add. The first pinch brings the dough over the meat. I'm gonna pinch it, and then we wanna create a second pinch at the same point. You're going around and just each time bringing it up and then having it pinch into the original pinch. You're not just putting this here, you're actually like bringing it up and then pinching again. Here's a pinch, but then I want this to meet the middle. So I like just stick it on there. And in the end, when you just like keep going with it, you will end up with a sealed dumpling. Like I could just seal it there if I wanted. So that's the final seal, and I'm just like bringing it back with its family. This is like the cheater's way, but if I have excess, I'm just like pinching it off. Yes, it's really nice to have those beautiful spiraled like folds in the end product, but even if you don't, if all you're prioritizing is getting the wrapper to be as thin as possible all around and sealing it at the top and making sure there's not excess dough, you'll end up with a beautiful bun that tastes great and you're gonna tear open anyway. So just don't forget to be forgiving of yourself and just know that this is an advanced piece of magic. That wasn't so hard, right? I think it'll be really fun to see how these steam. We'll put the uglier ones, the earlier ones on the bottom. You want them like an inch apart. They expand a little bit. So you want a little space. They're gonna expand, so this is good for me. And what I'm actually gonna do is, I'm gonna freeze this. I don't have room, but also, what a lovely thing to have a secret like frozen dumpling in the freezer for yourself. Just add on some more time when you steam it later. Lower the heat. I want it to stay at a simmer, and then we're gonna put this on top. What I like to do like halfway through is just to like really check. You can even open it and make sure there's still steam. If you have this feeling that the pot is dry, then you do wanna make sure there's more water in there. But if you fill the water enough, like a good 2 to 3 inches, you won't need to worry about that. As the dumplings steam, we have some time to prepare a little dipping sauce. To make the beef filling, we only use half of the medium red onion and we only use half of the jalapeno. I do like to use like a large jalapeno, so I'm gonna use 2 of the little ones for this. I don't know, I like to do like pretty chunky. Yeah, pretty chunky. Cute little triangles, I think. Pretty chunky. So just add that to the bowl. You could take the seeds and membrane out if you would like, but I like this sauce to be pretty spicy. Soy sauce and vinegar, distilled white vinegar. It seasons the vinegar and the soy sauce, but it also, the vinegar and the soy sauce season the vegetable. Sugar kind of like gives it some balance. You do want this kind of covered, so like I'm gonna add like a tablespoon of water. Water kind of like thins out like a flavor party. There's so many strong ingredients here. Water like extends that concentration out and helps your tongue like taste the nuances of everything a little more. I'm gonna taste it. So good. Hell yeah. It's so stupid how good that is. That's so good. These turned out cute. I personally could down 2 of these easily, but I also just wanna see what it looks like on the inside. Oh, baby. I love how the gochugaru staining the beef fat also ends up staining the dough. It's basically white sandwich bread. It's like so like soft and fluffy and yummy. I love this part of this dumpling. Like it's comforting. This is how I like to eat it. Take some of that sauce, and then I really just like to like fill the dumpling with it. Come on, so good. I just like can't believe we made that dough from scratch, you know? It's really, really fun, really special. Every culture has a dumpling, and the fact that every culture, independent of each other, has come up with a way to fill a parcel with yummy fillings and seal them and either steam or fry or pan fry them. Like the fact that so many people do this, so many people make dumplings, I think it's just a really nice reminder that we're really not that different from each other. You can find these recipes and many more at nytcooking.com. Happy Dumpling Week and Happy Lunar New Year. Is it gonna be blurred out? Hetty? Hetty, I love you. You're so talented. They're so good. Stay tuned for these. This is very exciting.